Now, what would you say if I was to tell you the oldest team in Europe's top 5 leagues can potentially win the treble? You turn around and say, this dude, yes, this dude was dropped on his head as a baby. Okay, cool, no problem. What if I was to tell you 15 years ago, the oldest team in Europe's top 5 leagues won the treble, and they go by the name of Inter? You'd sit down and you'll tell yourself, no way. Like, really? Surely, can history repeat itself? Because the one thing that's remained constant is Inter, once again, have the oldest team in Europe's top 5 leagues. In the Serie A, they have an average age of 29.7. Next in line is Napoli, 28.1, and then Lazio, 27.2. This is an old Inter team, but what comes with age? Something that's priceless, and it's experience, that know-how, the ability to handle big pressure moments, the ability to control your emotions. Players that have been there, done it before, but most importantly, players on a mission. They know my career is approaching an end, so I'm going to make use of every game. I'm going to capitalize on every competition. We collectively are going to give 120%. And that's the squad that Simone Inzaghi has currently at Inter. Now, if we were to rewind to Jose Mourinho's treble winning team, it was old as well. We're talking Materazzi, Zanetti, both 36 years old, Stankovic, Milito at 31. Players that were old. But now, if we were to fast forward 15 years later, it's still an older Inter team. If anything, it's far more older. We're talking Acerbi, 37, Arnautovic, 35, Sommer, 36, Mkhitaryan, the player that runs circles around the opposition, 36, De Vrij, 33, Darmian, 33, Calhanoglu, 31. This is an old Inter team, but this is a team that has experience, and this is a team that as of now is still competing for 3 major trophies. Now, if we were to look at Inter's current state, what's up for grabs? We're talking Coppa Italia against Milan, and then potentially a final against Empoli or Bologna. That is a competition, in my opinion, that they should go on and win. Then the Champions League. This is the big one. Bayern Munich. Tough opposition, but once again, a game that this Inter squad is more than capable of winning. It will be tough, but the quality is there. And then the Serie A, it's a 3-horse race. Atalanta, Napoli, but once again, being reigning Scudetto winners, being a team that's been there, done it before, and on top of everything, this is a team that, in my opinion, throughout the season has always played in second, third gear. But as of late, we're beginning to see Inter move into that 4th gear. And it's important to be playing the best football you can play in the business end of the season. So Inter, at the moment, they're competing for 3 trophies. They're in a good position. They've got tough opposition. But this is a team that's full of experience, that's full of talent, that's full of quality. So what makes them special? And what makes them feared across the world? What gives them that edge in the Champions League? What gives them that edge in the Coppa Italia against Sergio Conceição's Milan? What gives them that edge against Antonio Conte's Napoli, against Gasparini's Atalanta? The tactics. Simone Inzaghi's tactics. Let's break it down. Now, Simone Inzaghi, he's climbed mountains. I feel like he's one manager that's grown, developed, ever since making that step from Lazio into Inter. He's reinvented himself. He's revolutionized this Inter team. And this is a manager that reached the Champions League final. And in my opinion, probably should have won. This is a manager that's the current Scudetto winner, and just maybe he might go back to back. So if there were 2 words for me to describe his philosophy, his ethos at Inter, I'd probably say tactical fluidity. This is a team that's fluid and dynamic and very difficult to break down and very difficult to stop when they're playing in 4th or 5th gear. How do they play? In the first phase, they set up in a 3-1-5-2. The goalkeeper, he steps up, splitting the 3 centre-halves. The third centre-half, the one that plays in that central area, pushes forward to play in between the defence and midfield. Why? Why do Inter do this? It gives them a progressive pass, but on top of everything, it creates layers. It helps the players progress play, but on top of everything, if they were to lose the ball, you could see they've got bodies all over the park. They've got bodies in every single territory of the pitch. It makes it difficult for the opposition to capitalise if Inter were to make a mistake playing out of the back. Now, as soon as Inter get into the second phase, or the goalkeeper, back to your position, they like to set up in a 3-1-4-2. You can see the one thing that remains constant is they always have that one body in between the defence and the midfield. This time, rather than it being the centre half, it's Mkhitaryan and Calhanoglu. I feel like he's grown in that regista role so much under Simone Inzaghi. Like, he as a player has developed and grown ever since making the switch from Milan to Inter, which is crazy. But anyways, I feel like he's mastered that role. The ability to pass the ball with both feet, the wide range of passing, his ability to play make from deep, his ability to progress play from deep. And I feel like even when he gets into the final third, the ball striking, the playmaking, it aids Inter a lot. But once again, you could see options all over the pitch, territories being occupied, players in close proximity of one another. It allows Inter to get the ball high up the field as quick as possible. Now, what's most impressive about Simone Inzaghi's Inter is the fact that he sets them up, he structures them in a way where they're fluid. Depending on the opposition, they are one of the most adaptable teams in Europe, because depending on the opposition, where the opposition might get most joy, depending on the in-game dynamics, you've seen them set themselves up in a variety of different ways. Like you can clearly see here, sometimes they easily move into the 3-4-3 just to try and stop the opposition, with one of the midfielders joining the trio in attack. At times it turns into a 4-4-2 depending on the dynamics, depending on the situation. This is a very adaptable team. Teams that are adaptable are teams that not many teams want to come up against, because you never ever know what you're going to get. And I credit Simone Inzaghi, the fact that he's taught these players to play a variety of different roles in a variety of different setups. It's, let's just say, it's like Inter's cheat code. It's like their secret weapon. But the entire ethos is based on getting the ball out wide. Why? Because that's where Inter's most dangerous of players are. Up steps Di Marco. He is the best wing-back in the world. And the reason why he is the best wing-back in the world is because he's shown, get me the ball in the right space at the right time, I will put in deadly crosses into the box. Find me when I'm running in behind, I will put the ball into the roof of the net. He's prolific, he's dangerous. His ability to play make from out wide, it aids this Inter team so much, especially because when the ball does go out wide, whether it's Di Marco, whether it's Dumfries, what they do is they overload the box. They're brave. They push everybody forward. You can clearly see we're talking 4 players in the box, 5 players in the opposition box, attackers attacking the ball. That is how Inter play. Now, the final thing that makes Inter, Simone Inzaghi's Inter, very difficult to play against is the fact that when they do lose the ball, they will happily sit back in their low block of a 5-3-2. Now, of course, there's benefits and negatives to the low block. But if you know how to deploy a low block, and you know how to squeeze the pitch, and you know how to make it as compact as possible, no matter who you come up against, they will struggle. And when you look at this Inter team, I feel like defensively, they're very, very, very gifted. Like, they've got Acerbi, who's 37 years old, but he is rolling back the years. He looks like one of the best centre-halves in Italy. Then you've got the best centre-half in Italy, Bastoni. And this guy is the best of both worlds. Defensively, he's solid, but at the same time, he can carry the ball into midfield. He can progress play with his ball carrying, with his passing. He's a player that can step into midfield and create those overloads. Then you've got the physicality of Marcus Thuram. Then you've got the wing-backs that are willing runners. Inter, when they sit back in their 5-3-2 shape, they're very, very, very difficult to break down. They're compact. They don't give the opposition any time or any space. They don't allow the opposition to create those overloads. Why? Because the players are constantly moving. Teams that have players that are constantly interchanging, players that can play all over the park, they're a pest. Nobody wants to come up against a team like that. Why? Because you struggle to get any joy against them. And I feel like physically, sometimes this Inter team doesn't get the credit it truly deserves, because you don't really see them getting tested defensively because of how dominant they are in possession. But it's a team that's strong in possession. It's a team that's strong out of possession. Let's go back to the main talking point. Can the oldest team in Europe's top 5 leagues win the treble and do what they done 15 years ago? Now, in my opinion, I think the Coppa Italia is in Inter's hands. I think the Scudetto is also in Inter's hands. I look at the Champions League and I tell myself, Inter have got a very, very, very tough game against Bayern Munich. Now, in my opinion, they've got the ability, they've got the firepower, they've got the tactical acumen to beat Vincent Kompany's Bayern Munich. But listen, football is not that linear. Like, anything can happen in the game. Injuries, wrong referee decisions, they've got the firepower for it. And in my opinion, if they were to overcome the hurdle of Bayern Munich, that makes them one of the favourites for the Champions League, because now it gives them the boost. Now you know you've come up against a fierce competitor, against a team that a lot of people are looking at and saying they can win they can win the Champions League, and you've now knocked them out. And I feel like in the business end of the season, the more you win, the more you begin to believe. The more you win, the more you get confidence. And I feel like business end of the season, on top of technical ability, physical ability, tactics, the one thing you need more than anything is confidence. Confidence in yourself, in your teammates, in your manager. And that's why I said Inter, in the business end of the season, they're getting into 4th gear. If they get into 5th gear, Inter will be very, very, very difficult to break down and to stop. So, if I was just to give my opinion from now, I still see Inter winning 2 out of the 3 trophies. But that's not saying they can't win 3 out of 3. And to be fair, I genuinely would not be surprised if history does repeat itself. Now, if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to let me know what you think in the comments. And I will catch you guys on another one.